Good morning. What's up, y'all? It's Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. Thank you for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. Would like to welcome you to another episode of the Long Car Ride Chronicles. And we on episode 16. Now, I'm going to be honest, I recorded a couple of videos a while back ago, but based on the topics I was talking about, they weren't really relevant. So I decided to go ahead and just record a new one for this week, because why not? New things on the mind, and I like to, put things out while it's fresh. Plus, my phone was giving me issues. I had to get a new phone, so I think that some things unfortunately got deleted, but we're here now. And today, it's not going to be a super long car ride chronicles. This might be one of the shorter ones, but I have two topics that I'm going to talk about. And if anything comes on my mind, then it'll be in the title. But the two topics I'm going to talk about is the waiting game and the real truth about working out, eating healthy, living healthy, and so on and so forth. I'll start off with the waiting game. I was watching the video. That's kind of what recently inspired this topic, but I think I've talked about it briefly on this channel before. But basically, there was a woman who a guy was trying to get after her for 10 years. 10 years. Now, listen, I'm not going to be that guy and be like, why would guys do that? You wasting your time 10 years. Which, I mean, it's the truth. Any man or woman that you go after for 10 years straight, might need a little bit of a reality check, because they probably don't want you. You know what I'm saying? They don't take long for a person to want you. But the reason why this is a non-judgmental zone is because I've been there. I didn't pursue a woman for 10 years. But, about a good 2, maybe even 3 years. But even 2 or 3 years is too long. You know what I'm saying? So, basically, long story short, and if I can find the video, I'll post it in the description. If not, cool. I think I'll just post a reaction video to the guy's channel that I watch. But basically, he had been pursuing her. She finally decided to give him a shot. Probably because she was done messing with whoever she was done messing with, or whatever the case may be, who knows. And basically, they linked up. I think they were in Texas. They live in Texas or something like that. They linked up in Houston. They basically had a night out together, had a good time, spent the night together, and then the next day, he pretty much dipped. He said, all right, I got to handle some business. And she ain't heard back from him since. Now, this is where the waiting game comes into play, and why I think the waiting game is a bad idea. Now, when I say the waiting game, I'm not talking about sex. Let me go ahead and make that perfectly clear. I am not talking about sex. I'm talking about more so the waiting game in terms of, although some people might equate it to that. I'm talking about in terms of the pursuit of a man or a woman, right? I don't think it's a good idea for anybody to be pursuing someone for a long time unless that pursuit is reciprocated. And the reason I say that is because what ends up happening is it's a couple things. Number one, it makes you look desperate. And number two, even if you do somehow get that person, especially for my fellas, you were not the first choice. And when I say first choice, I'm not talking about like their first love or anything like that. I think everybody's had their first love. Everybody's had their first time. Everybody's had their first heartbreak. Everybody's had their first... I'm not going to say everybody's had their first situationship, but a lot of people have had a first situationship, this, like that, and so on and so forth. Everybody's had a lot of firsts. So I'm not referring to first. I'm referring to first choice. There's a difference. A first is just a first experience. Everybody's had a first experience in life in some form of capacity. But a first choice means that, once again, like I've been saying on this channel for months, genuine desire. All right? Genuine desire. That's what it boils down to. You've probably heard that from a lot of different places. Welcome. And if that person does not truly want you, because here's the thing, a man or a woman that really wants you, it ain't gonna take long. I can reassure you times infinity. It's not gonna take long for them to know. Now, granted, there are things that can happen in between time. People can lose interest and stuff like that, yes. But a person that genuinely wants you, you will know. It will not take long for things to start taking place. Ladies, when a man wants you, he ain't finna waste no time. He finna get right down to business, because that's how we operate. Fellas, if a woman wants you, she gonna make it easy for you. She not gonna beat around the bush. She gonna be wanting to spend time with you, within reason, of course, things of that sort of nature, right? So when you have to pursue somebody for so long, both my fellas and my ladies, it's a bad look. Again, it makes you look desperate, and you don't want to look desperate. You know what I'm saying? When somebody's not feeling you, you want to be able to walk away with dignity and be like, you know what? All right, bet, cool. And that doesn't mean that it's not disappointing. I've been rejected a number of times. Shoot, I had a situation this year. Woman I pursued had liked her for quite some time. That was kind of my fault, because I should have said something immediately. But it happens. And she told me, you know what? I don't see you in that way. What did I do about it? I just walked away and said, you know what? Appreciate it. And went on about my business. Didn't say we could be friends or anything like that. No. I mean, in fact, I even told her, hey, I can't continue a friendship with you because I just don't see you in that way. And it wouldn't be genuine. It would be disingenuous, actually. And fellas, word of advice: if you like a woman, just tell her off it. Don't be waiting. I'm just waiting for the perfect time. No. Tell her immediately. That way you know where you stand. If she ain't feeling you, you ain't got to go no further. I'm not saying sometimes you don't develop feelings for friends. That happens, of course. But you save yourself a lot of trouble. And you never know. That woman could like you, but you waited for so long, she didn't think that you felt the same way and probably moved on. But that's a whole other conversation. Anyways, long story short, when you play the long game, and I'm gonna go to my ladies first. Ladies, when you play the long game in terms of, I'm gonna give him a shot. You open yourself up for the possibility of a lot of disappointment on both ends. From your end, you gotta ask yourself a serious question. Is that the guy that you really wanted? Now, I know some ladies, they're gonna come at me and they're gonna be like, well, I could develop feelings for that guy. Things could change. Maybe I missed my blessing. And I get it. And maybe, just maybe, that might be the case. You know what I'm saying? Things happen in life and we come to the realization of things, but he wasn't your first choice. Because in my personal opinion, if he was your first choice, guess what? When he initially asked you out, before them 10 years, before them 5 years, before them 3 years, you would have been like, yeah. Unless you were in a relationship. Let me just make that clear. I don't condone cheating. I don't condone being unfaithful. So, in that case, yeah, you would have, be like, yeah, you cool, you cute or whatever, but I'm in a relationship. Because the thing about it is, when you're in a relationship, you always going to find other people attractive. But when you got something good going, you ain't going to mess that up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and then, you end up hurting yourself another way, because what if the guy, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm not saying that guy should do this, but what if he decides to get the cake, and slide? What if he decides to waste your time? What if he's petty? Well, men are like that. They're immature and they're this and they're that. No, ladies, not all men are like that. I promise you. I can reassure you, not all men are like that. But there are some that are like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't condone that behavior, but it's the truth. Let's flip the script, right? Fellas, when you make a woman wait that long, she might do the same thing. I don't think ladies are as petty as fellas in that regard, but I'm just saying, or you play the long game, fellas, you try to come back around, she gonna make it very difficult for you. Very, very difficult for you. And truth be told, you weren't into that woman initially, because if you were, you wouldn't have waited so long. Well, I'm just kind of, I gotta get stuff out my system and this and that and so on and so forth. I get it. I get why there's some fellas and even some ladies that feel that way. But opportunities come a dime in a dozen. And you got to understand, there are a lot of good people out here, but there aren't a lot of good people out here at the same time. I hope that makes sense. You do find a lot of good people out here that are very genuine, but you also find a lot of people out here that be breaking hearts. And you never know what you're going to get with who. So bottom line, and then we're going to move on to the next subject, don't be out here playing the long game. If you are playing the long game with someone, meaning you're trying to pursue somebody and they're not giving you a shot, you need to walk away. So at the recording of this video, if you're watching this, if it's been 2 months, if it's been 6 months, if it's been 6 years, if it's been 13 years, hopefully it ain't been no 13 years, that's crazy. You need to walk away with a smile on your face, with your dignity intact, and go on and find someone who actually feels the same way that you do. I tell you guys all the time, find somebody that you like, that reciprocates that like. Find somebody that you're willing to give effort to that reciprocates that effort. If it's not equal, it should be more. Just saying. In fact, I would argue, if it's more on that part, equalize it. You know what I'm saying? That's just my personal opinion. I'm going to tell you one more thing and we're going to move on to the next subject. I had a woman one time that I was, and I may or may not have told this story on the channel before. I can't remember if I did. But I had a woman one time that I was pursuing for years. When I say years, I think it was a total of slick, I'm going to say authentically pursuing her, 3 years. And I'll talk about the authentic part, why, in a second. But basically, I met this woman in 2019. We met on social media. We had been getting to know each other. We were supposed to go out on a date. She flaked at the last minute. Had excuses. So, you know, of course, I played it cool. And I said, you know what? I can see that you're really busy. You let me know when is the next time you would like to meet her. So I put the ball in her court, as it should be. You know, my fellas and my ladies, when somebody flakes on a date with you or, you know, cancels last minute, the ball in their court now. Well, she never got back to me. At that moment, current Marcus would have just been like, hey, chalk it up to the game, move on. Well, Marcus was kind of a pushover back then. Simp, whatever you want to call it, pushover, whatever. So I kept pursuing her. I stopped, which was the right thing to do after some time because I realized it wasn't getting nowhere. She came out the blue in 2021, which was probably one of my hardest years of my life. And we had a little something going on that was never serious. I wanted something serious at the time, but not really at the same time. So I was cool with whatever. So that went there. Continued into 2022. And we ended up, you know, I ended up catching like real deal feelings again. I wanted something. But she didn't want anything. But I felt like a little something was better than nothing at all. Right? So essentially, over the course of 3 years, I had been pursuing this woman that, truth be told, did not want anything with me. Or she had me on the wait list. I think she did want something with me, but she wanted to wait until her fun time was over or she got her life together or whatever. She didn't say it in those words, but you could tell by somebody's actions. Well, Lord and behold, we stopped communicating in 2022 over something that was kind of both of our faults. I'm not going to totally put the blame on myself, but I'm also not going to put the total blame on her either. It was kind of both parts. I can be honest about that. And, you know, we ended up reconnecting earlier this year. And then she did something else that was kind of off the wall. Not off the wall, but just unacceptable behavior. And I just decided to cut her off completely. I don't like the way that I cut her off, to be honest, because I felt like it was merciless. You know, in life, you can't always cut people off by the head. You gotta, you know, just simply walk away. But nonetheless, I'm glad that I ended it because, you know what? It was one of those things where it was like, it was needed. You know what I'm saying? It was needed. But bottom line is, I have been authentically pursuing this person for years, and that should not have happened. So when it was time for it to be over, I'm glad that I ended it the way I did because, well, not the way I did, but just in general. Sorry. Because it was needed. You know what I'm saying? But On to other matters. Let's quickly talk about the second topic because I'm slowly but surely approaching work. We're going to talk about the truth about working out, eating healthy, and I'm pretty sure that this is a common truth amongst so many people. We don't be feeling like doing it. Okay? I'ma just be real with you. 80% of the time, cats don't feel like going to the gym. Cats don't feel like counting out calories. Cats don't feel like looking directly at their protein intake. Cats don't feel like doing a lot of things. I'ma just be honest with you. You see all these fitness gurus and this and that, and I mean, I'm not saying we don't ever feel like doing it. Like, don't get me wrong. There is no better feeling of you didn't feel like working out, you went to the gym, and then afterwards you feel so much better, and you're just like, you know what, I'm so glad I did what I did, even though I didn't feel like doing it, because it made a difference in my mental, physical, and emotional health, and probably even my spiritual. But the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, cats don't feel like doing it half of the time. We don't. So, why do we not feel like doing it? Simple. Humans are very much creatures of habit. That's why they say it takes so much time to develop a good habit. It also takes so much time to develop a bad. Our natural instinct is to be content with where we are at. 90% of the world does not want to evolve. 90% of the world does not want to step up to the plate in order to become a better version of themselves. 90% of the world is okay with just getting by. There are 10% of humans on this planet that are willing to put forth the extra mile to obtain their goals, to be where they want to be, and to do what they want to do. And it's a lot more than just simply writing things down. It's actually committing to it. And that's the thing about eating healthy and working out and really caring about your health in general. Even your mental health. A lot of times, most people will say, oh, I'm going to do it, but then they don't really do it. A lot of times people will say, oh, self-care, 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 but they don't really practice self-care. And I've been guilty of all phases. That's why my weight has fluctuated so much over the years. It's because I haven't been consistent all the time. Now, one thing I do give myself credit for is I get back up when I fall. Anybody that knows me personally will tell you straight up, hey, Marcus might fall, but he finna get back up. Especially when it comes to my fitness. You know, I can admit the past 2 weeks haven't been the greatest, but I've been getting back at it. I know this week I've been a lot more conscious about my choices with eating certain foods, so I'm proud of myself about that. You know, sometimes you just gotta give yourself a pat on the back for the little things, you know. But even with all that being said, I wanted that Kit Kat bar last night. That's the hard part a lot of people don't tell you about. I low-key don't feel like going to the gym. I was supposed to go to the gym 4 times this week. I've only been twice. I'm going today. Well, technically it'll be yesterday from this recording, but you know, you get what I'm saying. I was supposed to go skating last night, but that was a valid reason for not going skating. It's a school night. I try not to go skating when it's a work night because my job requires me to be there between 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning. So that's tough. You know what I mean? But the truth about all that, ladies and gentlemen, is we don't feel like doing it half the time. But we do it anyways. Why? Life is going to be all about not feeling like doing things. I'm pretty sure if everybody had their way, they would work from home or make money by not doing anything at all. That's the truth. But here's the other truth to that. Life don't work like that. Life most certainly don't work like that. You got to put in work to get results. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to hear that. But it is the absolute God-honest truth. You have to put in work to get results. The results are not just going to come out of midair. They're not going to fly out the ceiling just because you want it. If you want something bad enough, you got to go get it. Things are not going to always go your way. So what is it that you need to do when things don't go your way? Well, you got to make adjustments. I was driving to work before I came to this conclusion. And I had a whole lesson plan for today for my hip-hop class. That's one of the classes I teach. And, well, come to find out, I'm going to tell you what happened. I was supposed to make adjustments yesterday at home because they wouldn't let me do it at the school. And Lord and behold, I forgot to do it. So you know what? I got to come up with something on the fly before class starts. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where you just got to make adjustments where you see fit. The good news is I know what the lesson is supposed to be about. It's just a matter of finding an alternative. And it happens. You know what I'm saying? It real deal happens. So overall, y'all, I know you might not feel like doing it, but if you know you need to eat a little bit healthier today, do it. Drink some water. Work out. Take some time to decompress. Get some self-care. You know what I'm saying? Do something that's beneficial to you. Because you might feel like, well, one day ain't going to make a difference. Yeah, one day it might not make much of a difference. But it's a start. And everybody has to start somewhere. Right? Well, that's about it. I have arrived at my destination. This is Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays, to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. Love you guys. Hope you guys have a great day. Please take care of yourselves and be nice to somebody.